Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever it's going to be for everybody. It is Saturday, and for us that care about football, it is going to be Super Bowl weekend, which means most of us will just watch the commercials. Let me turn that off. Sounds like my sound is working. That's nice. Good morning, Raspy. How are you doing this morning? Hey, Raspy, just out of curiosity, I don't see this on my end. Do you see the little super chat thingy down there on the bottom of my chat? Because I've never seen it, even on non-subscription stuff. I'm just wondering if it's actually working. But anyway, good morning, James. And who am I going for tomorrow? Well, if you're saying you're not a Tom Brady fan, then I guess I'll have to not vote for that team, eh? I said A. I don't say A. Who else do we have in here this morning? Got Rasby, got James, and I know we got a few others watching this morning. Just curious where you all are from and what's happening. Before we get into the nitty gritty of the content, Super Chat is on the right. Okay, so it's working. I didn't know. That's a new thing for me, and I didn't know if Super Chat was actually showing up. It never shows up in any of my chat stuff, so that's why I'm curious. Let's see here. So for those of you that are new to the stream, if you are on my Discord server and there's a channel called Livestream Chat and Livestream Questions. If you have a question you want me to answer and I don't see it in the stream, yay, James! Thank you. You're my very first super chat ever. Fairhope, Alabama, Eastern Tennessee. So we got the U.S. on this morning. If you want to ask me a question, hit the exclamation point ask and then ask the question, and that should show up in the live stream's question Discord channel, and that way I will be able to see that. Otherwise, I'm not. I tend to get to most of them, but I may miss one or two here. All right, so look at that, 6.8 kilowatts of power used. The dryer is running. We have an electric dryer. So we're seeing that this morning. You're wondering how I do that? Probably I use a power monitor. I may have shown this before. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I like to get off on a tangent right off the bat. So let me see what we can do here. Let's go look at my orders from a certain big box retailer whose CEO stepped down after making billions and billions of dollars. I guess he's going to go do something else. Well, it looks like Nightbot's working too. Well, everything's working this morning. Great. Let's see, power meter, power monitor. I'm looking that up in my orders. Power. See if that shows up. Next. Apparently I've ordered a lot of things with the word power in them. It's a little clamp that goes on the, well, that didn't work. AO Tech maybe? Yeah, I don't know what it is now. It's a power meter, passive power meter that clamps onto my 220 circuit out in the power box. It's been outside melting in the sun and the rain and the wind and what we call cold here in Texas for years. It's just outside hanging off of that thing, and it's just working just great. I need to find that. I would really like to find that here. I apologize. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to find the power meter because when I talk about something, I want to show it off a little bit. Well, let's just see over here. Let's see, Zwave power monitor. This one? It's something similar to this one, I'm sure. Yeah. This is a newer version of that, but I have something like this that's sitting outside. It's sitting on top of the power box outside. And these two little clamps, they clamp around my 220 circuit. And the reason I do that is because my dryer and my stove slash oven are 220. And if I have an internal circuit breaker box in the house, I think they're called load centers. I don't know, in different parts of the country, they're called different things, but you can clamp these on the 120 lead inside, but then you don't get things like the 220 devices or appliances. Anyway, this is outside. It's been running for years. And that version of that is what is running this power monitoring right here. So I can tell when things are really using power because they have the that turns orangish, yellowish. All right, so we got Denmark represented, Alabama, Tennessee, Arizona. So we're all over the place, which is fantastic. So James said his is plugged into a Sonoff plug to monitor the power. Interesting. So is it monitoring the whole house power, or is it monitoring just the dryer? Because I have a washing machine automation I did once where it has an appliance switch, and if the washing machine drops below a certain voltage, because the little LED thing will actually use a little bit of power. If it drops below, I think 5 volts or something, not 5 volts, 5 watts, it will alert me that the dryer or the washing machine is done. So I'm just curious, James, if you're using just a single item or not. Yeah, these little appliance switches. In fact, when we talk about Zwave here in a little bit, the device I'm going to demonstrate in Zwave is actually an appliance plug. It's a little box that will that has power metering and stuff in it. And I have a couple of those around the house, so I can watch individual devices specifically. There is a thing that's out there that's smart, that's supposed to determine, and there's probably more than one now, that's supposed to determine based on patterns of usage what kind of device it is. My brother has one of those, but I don't know how accurate it is, and I don't know if there's an integration with Home Assistant for that. All right, just the dryer plug. Did the same automation. All right, cool. I guess maybe I've talked about that in the past. Maybe I even have a video on that. I don't know. So let's talk about since we're here for the content, right? Let's talk about the Z or the 2021.2 version of Home Assistant, and that includes Zwave JS, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I like to go through these. They do a release party once every so often, once every so often. Let me get my mind engaged here. They do a release party where they talk about the new versions of Home Assistant now, and I see that I've seen that in January, and I saw the one here that was just recently up here. And I like to talk about a couple of notable things if there are any on some of these. Obviously, the first one is zwave.js. So we have a new person joining Nabu Casa. Eric's going to be working on working with Nabu Casa full time. He's the person that built the integration or worked on CAS, Tasmota, and MQTT. So that's nice to have him on board. Those that really get into the nitty gritty, Python 3.7 has been dropped and Python 3.9 is now supported. I don't know if that means anything to anybody. I guess if you read the notes here, it's only a concern if you're running Home Assistant core directly on Python. If you're running Home Assistant OS, supervised, containerized, it's all taken care of for you. So don't worry about that. Of course, we're going to talk about Zwave JS. I released a video yesterday on Zwave JS because I want to kind of get ahead of that and do a little bit of work with that. So you can watch that after this. Don't run off and do it now. I want you to stay here, please. All right, so we'll talk about Zwave JS. We'll talk about kind of some of the state of things. These are all of the folks that jumped in and worked on this. if you think about it, we went from, hey, we're not going to support or we're not going to maintain Open Z-Wave beta. We're going to start maintaining Z-Wave JS. All these people and more jumped in and worked on bringing up this integration in a month or less. So in the terms of software development, in my real job, when I ask for a feature to be added to a piece of software we may use or whatever, it could take forever to get that feature added. And so to have it built in a month and ready for essentially production use is amazing. And all these people get credit for doing that, and maybe more. And one thing that I talked about in my video with Z-Wave JS is the fact that because you have all of these people contributing, this means that the more activity and the more developers and the more resources you have for a piece of software, the more likely it is to stick around. So I know we've gone from Z-Wave integration, which is called 1.4, I guess, the version, to Open Z-Wave beta, which was being called Z-Wave 1.6, to Z-Wave Z-Wave JS. And we did that in a really short period of time. And so you might get a little bit burned out on, okay, well, which Z-Wave are we supposed to be on now? The fact that we have all these Z-Wave JS folks working on this in a language that more people understand, that more resources are available for, means that it's going to stick around longer. So personally, I'm comfortable with Z-Wave JS being the way forward now, which is why I kind of jumped on it quickly. And it talks about, what about the old Z-Wave integration? The old built-in Z-Wave is marked as deprecated. So if you actually go into Home Assistant and you search the add-on store for Z-Wave, just Z-Wave in general, then you will see that, actually I'm lying. Let me go to integrations. That's probably where we want to do this at. If you go to integrations and you search for Z-Wave, yep, you'll see that you have Z-Wave. This is the built-in, already came with Home Assistant Z-Wave. It's deprecated. You have the Open Z-Wave, which is beta, and will not, in terms of Home Assistant, will probably not come out of beta ever. And then you have Z-Wave JS, which is the new thing. So they talk about that here, right? So it's deprecated. If you're starting with Home Assistant in Z-Wave, the integration is no longer recommended, the main one, the deprecated one. So they recommend for existing users, you go to Z-Wave JS. And as I mentioned in my other video, there's no need to panic and go crazy and kind of have to jump off of this. Those things are going to stick around. They're just not going to be maintained. Bug fixes probably will not be applied, but it's not being removed, and they have no plans for removing these things. Of course, if Python comes along and says it can no longer be made or built out because of the version of Python it's built against, then at that point it will not be available. So I wouldn't go jumping off on the Z-Wave JS yet, unless you're just on the bleeding edge. Because this stuff is not going to go away right away. That's the deprecated version. And then we talk about the same thing. So the Open Z-Wave integration, that's the beta version 1.6. And of course, we talked about why this person, through a lot of no fault of his own, he lives a life and has a life outside of doing this kind of work, had to do some other things, but it's one person built on C++. C++ is not a very common language for open source or getting into building stuff. It's hard to maintain the code. So that's one of the other reasons. And you can see the quote here. Is it dead? Nope. He's going to tinker with it. He'll make changes as time allows, but it's going to be at his own pace just because he wants to play with it, just for fun. It's really just for fun. So, yeah, so you can see here it's an 11-year-old project. It's used by tons of systems outside of Home Assistant. So this person, Justin, has done a lot of work to build that out. It just got to be too much. So I understand what his thing is there. And I see my face is buried by the well, I guess depends on the screen you're on. My face is buried by the subscribe icon there. Let me jump into chat real quick because we have a few of those coming across. So Rasby says the weather monitor intrigued him. He ordered one the other day and it should be here today. Yeah, you can't beat the price for now. That's the $35 gateway, Wi-Fi gateway. You have to still have a weather station, Raspberry, to actually pick it up. But if you have one and it can pick up, it transmits out the 915 or whatever frequency range it's on, then you're good to go. James said he moved over to JS yesterday. James also says, he thought about, I wish I could display comments on the screen. I apologize that I can't. I can drag it up here though. So James says, I thought the same, and based on what people are saying, moved over. So it looks like the way forward. I'm very comfortable with that. And if you watch the launch party, you watch the guys talk about it. Even the developer, or one of the main developers for this, it was on the launch party, and so I'm very comfortable with this going on. Somebody, and no thanks, moved over while watching the live version announcement. I think I saw you talking about that. Yeah, it was pretty simple, and the video I made yesterday makes it seem very simple too. The number one thing is don't run two versions of Zwave on the same device at the same time. That will cause you all kinds of problems. I learned that going from beta or from integration to beta. I tried to run them both and I couldn't restart Home Assistant without going in directly to Docker and killing off containers that were running things so I could get the system back up and stable. So be careful there. All right, so continuing on with some of the other stuff here. No more badges and auto-generated dashboards. So all this stuff, I know it's kind of hard to see on the live stream. Let me click on it. Does it click? No. All of these badges for every device in or every entity in your system would show up here when you created a new dashboard, but apparently that is going away. Now I always start with a new dashboard and I say, what is it when you do a new dashboard? Let me open up my development thing here. When you create a new dashboard, dashboards, there we go. Add a dashboard, title, test, fun, URL, test fun, show in sidebar, whatever. Create it. Now if I click on this and I open it, wait, go back. Where's test fun? Overview, test fun. Okay, well, so it's generating a default dashboard without all the icons. Now, if I go up here and I say edit dashboard and take control, and I want to start with an empty, I always start with an empty anyway, so the badges never bothered me. So take control. Now I have a dashboard with nothing on it, and I can start adding things. Yes, the garage door's open. So anyway, the badges are no longer there. They don't start with badges. They start with just that basic setup that we saw. And then you can start with a blank one even more. Okay. DHCP. Now this one I haven't figured out yet. DHCP discovery. So Home Assistant listens on your network for devices that request IP addresses. It doesn't provide the IP address. It just listens for the traffic. So on those messages, it can discover integrations. So one of the examples they use in the live stream, and I kind of half listened to this, so I don't really know the details, but let's say your Tesla, if you have a Tesla, this is an example. I don't have a Tesla. If you have something that shows up on your network and asks for an IP address, it will be intercepted by Home Assistant, and it will show up in your list of discovered devices. And you'll know that when you see the little icon down here on the left that has like this notifications. Now this is a login attempt. I don't know what that's about. This is local internally, but it would show up here as a new integration potentially. And so you would go, when you go into integrations, it would say, hey, I see a new thing like your Tesla or whatever. I haven't experimented with that, nor have I seen anything that actually has been discovered. I think pretty much everything on my network's been discovered already. But I'm curious about that. if anybody has seen anything related to DHCP discovery, I don't even know how that would show up specifically. I don't know if there's any, like, if we look at this person's GitHub, is there anything that talks about how it works? I don't know. No, I don't see anything. So it's internal, but I just don't know how it works specifically. So if anyone has any ideas on that, just throw me a comment down below and we can talk about it. But I'm not sure how it works and I haven't seen anything on it. So new blueprint selectors, some new goodies to the blueprint. I haven't used a lot of blueprint stuff yet because I haven't had a need. I did some videos on it and whatnot, but what is the new selector? An object selector shows a YAML editor in the UI. A text selector. Blueprint descriptions now support Markdown, so you can put in formatting and whatnot. So if you use blueprints or some of that. Cloud text-to-speech settings. I played with this. This was, they said this on the release party too. This was kind of hard to find. Not intentionally hard to find, but it was hard to find. So if I go to, and I have to do this on my production. Let's see, this is going to be, let me see if I can do this without sharing everything. Give me a second here. Go to home, blah, blah, blah. So when you go to configuration and you look at your cloud stuff, it provides some account information. So I don't want to do that necessarily. Where's my text to speech? All right, that looks good. All right, so if we look at this here and we see text to speech, I didn't have this box before, and they've brought it out more prominently. So you can choose all of these languages and you can choose the gender of the voice. So if I wanted to do Portuguese or something like that, I could try it out and then I can play it. And it'll play out in my browser. I wonder if it'll show up, if you'll be able to hear it. Maybe not.
Hello, Chris. You can play any text on any supported media players.
So I don't know if that comes out. I hope this is not super loud for y'all. Let me turn this up. We'll try it one more time with the desktop audio and see if you can hear it.
Hello, Chris. You can play any text on any supported media players.
Yeah, so that's kind of, it's got an accent. It's not necessarily the language, it's the accent. So we could do, I don't know what this sounds like.
Hello, Chris. You can play any text on any supported media player.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I wonder if there's so Great Britain. That one's one I know sounds like, and then we'll change it to a male voice. Do it one more time.
Quit Hello, playing. Chris. You can play any text on any supported media player.
Yeah, it's amazing. It uses a neural network to do this stuff. So it's pretty amazing if you're using text to speech. I have not got this to work, or it doesn't work with the Amazon smart speakers. It works with the all right, I was just listening to make sure that actually came through. It sounds like the audio came through. Anyway, Nightbot's new for me as well, so apologies if it spams too much. I can adjust those settings. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I really think that's pretty cool, and you can make it any type of well, you can see just any accent. I can't even read most of these, but you can use the accents on those. All right, there's that. And finally, anything else on here? Other noteworthy changes. And I encourage you all to read these. Make sure you go through and just read all the notes and everything on here because it's important. There's things on here, especially the breaking changes section. Don't ever push the upgrade button until you read the breaking changes section. So all of this stuff, Shelly RGB devices are now fully supported. So if you have any RGB devices, that's cool. If you run into an issue with your Loveless card configuration and it doesn't work, it's supposed to tell you why in a more clear version, better tell you why. That was hard. It's supposed to tell you why more clearly so you understand what the problem is. Filtering and zoom to node to the Zigbee network visualization. Tasmota is out of beta. That's the guy that I think just got hired by Nabukasa. And all these things, I don't need to go through all of them. New integrations, Air Now, DHCP Discovery. Now let me click this. Maybe this tells us what this does. Same thing. Discovered integrations will show up in the discovered section on the integrations page. Yep. It's enabled by default unless you've disabled or removed default config line from your configuration. If that is the case, the following example shows you how to enable this integration manually. I wonder if I have default config enabled. Let's just see. Let's close that. So if I open a folder and I go to that, and I look at my configuration, and let me get that out of here real quick. I don't know what I'm sharing, probably too much stuff. All right, so I don't think I have default config in my configuration, which means that probably it's not going to work, which is probably why I didn't see any DHCP stuff. I don't think I've ever had that line in there. So interesting. All right, enough of that. Again, new platforms. Harmony Hub now adds switches for activities. WeLight supports the fans. And then Hyperion has a bunch of stuff. So if you have any of those things, you can start doing more with them. And then these are all set up via the UI instead of the YAML stuff. And there's already been an update which fixes some things. And then breaking changes. Always read through these breaking changes. Zwave talks about the deprecation and whatnot. Not really a breaking change there. And so, of course, go through all of these. There's a lot of these in here. It's definitely important to read those. All right, let's talk about some comments here. Yep, they were pretty clear about stopping the old Zwave. Yep, I learned my lesson there. I'm very clear about that too. Heard the same thing. The only thing I'm missing is my iNovelli LED scenes for notifications. So yeah, and James, you probably heard this if you were on the call. If you are missing something, make sure you reach out to them. They have a Discord channel, which I don't happen to know what it is, but you can probably find it on the Zwave page, just searching Google Zwave Home Assistant. And make sure you, if you're missing something, that you let them know. They're pretty, I think they're pretty responsive, or supposed to be pretty responsive on getting that stuff added. You did the Zwave JS2 MQTT. I play with that a minute, and we can look at that. Can it send text to speech to Nest speakers? I have no idea. If it shows up as a device, and we can look here in this, is this the wrong, let's go 158. Where's my 158? If you go to your integrations, and this is for the question about the Nest speakers. If you look at Google Cast and you have that Nest speaker you're talking about, which this is a Nest Mini that I'm using. If you have a speaker that shows up in the Google Cast integration, then you should be able to send text to speech to that. So if I click on this and click on guest speaker, I don't know how many layers I have to go here. Let me go back. If I click on devices under cast, or one entity, and I click on, let's try it again, guest speaker. Somewhere here, there is a button to send it out to, well, I've lost it now. I know you can do it. Let me go back to the dashboard. If I click on guest speaker, welcome to live TV. There we go. I don't know what it was doing, but you should be able to click on that, and then I can say whatever I want on this, and it sends it to this device that I've clicked on here. So if it shows up there in your integrations, let's do that one.
Hello world.
You probably can't hear that, but it does say hello world. If it does show up and then you can create a card for it, you should be able to send it. So check it out, Martin, and see if that works. It'd be nice if Amazon would work. There's so many different possibilities. This is the thing that may drive me away from the Echo devices, because I can't do some of this stuff that I can do with the Google stuff, and I don't understand why. The other thing that drives me crazy about Amazon stuff is that I have to re-auth every once in a while, and I can't read the captchas that they. First of all, I have two-factor authentication, so I've got to put in the two-factor key or the whatever, and then I have to put in the captcha, and it takes me multiple tries, and the captcha is it's just hard to read. I can't read the characters, and it's not because I'm blind. I just can't read the characters on the pictures they send for captcha. So those kind of things. Plus, it's deaf, and I know I talked about this on my last live stream. It doesn't hear me. And to be fair, it may be that I have too many of those things around the house, and it's getting confused on which one's trying to hear me or whatever. But over time, I may just go ahead and abandon the whole Amazon, ecosystem and just go strictly with Google. And the other thing is that that's holding me back is I've gotten into this thing lately where I can start my audiobook on the Echo device, especially if I'm doing something in the kitchen or preparing a meal or whatever. I can play the audiobook on the Amazon thing because it's owned by Amazon, just right where I left off. And I don't know that I can do that with Google. So we'll have to play around with it. But, that may be something that I just don't worry about because I'm having so many other issues with the Echo devices. So, and I would like to be able to make announcements this way. And I can still make it say things. I just can't make it do this TTS stuff. So we'll see. We'll see over time. Harmony Hub Switch has sent a few new devices to that thing. So I had to go back into Home Assistant and disable some I didn't get. You have multiple. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's the cloud thing there that you're referring to. Hello, Jag. I'm going to say it wrong, but Jagadish, I am fine. How are you? And where are you from, Jagadish? Welcome to the live stream. So did the JS2 MQTT? Oh, he did it because the same back end, but adds the ability to adjust configs. Yeah, and we'll look at that now. So let's just jump into. I'm done talking about this. That's just a quick rundown on what the new version has, and make sure you're on at least that version or greater because of security reasons. And we talked, I'm sure that's been beat to death. People have talked about it on the internet and everywhere else. So just make sure you're on a newer version of Home Assistant. One other thing I'm going to just talk about briefly is I have an update here for operating system 5.10. If you look at the release notes, and this is my Raspberry Pi 4, don't use page table mapping for compressed pages. Fix 64-bit image to boot. I read some stuff here where there was a boot loop causing it to have a problem. I updated 2 times, or maybe 3 now, to version 5.10. I thought it was the Zwave JS stuff causing me the problem, which would have been really sad because I'm really trying to push that. But when I update to operating system 5.10 on the Raspberry Pi, something happens and I've got to rebuild my entire, it's easy because I don't have much on here and it's a test system, but I have to restore it. I go in there and I burn a new image on the SD card and get everything set back up. And the first time I didn't have a snapshot. Remember how I talk about making snapshots? Make snapshots, even if you're testing. Because then I had to go back in, even though this is a testing thing, I'm using the proxy manager for real stuff. I didn't have any snapshots, so I had to rebuild everything. So snapshot, even on a test system, it's worthwhile. But I don't know, I'm not updating again because I don't know what happened. And I don't know if anyone's commented on this stuff. I don't see any issues here. Maybe I do. I don't know what that means. Goes burr? Like, fan of RPI POA had installed time. It runs full speed no matter what option is set config.txt. Okay, so that's not it. Goes burr, I guess makes it cold. Freezes on SSD. Cannot install boot hang after reboot on this. I'm using the 64-bit version, I believe. Yeah, and I didn't have any logs because I'd have to plug it into a monitor to see what's going on. But anyway, the point is, I'm curious if y'all have anybody running on the Pi 4, if you've gone to 5.10, is it working? Does it lock up? Are you having problems with it? I'm just curious about that. So let me move this out of the way. Wow, Nightbot sure is aggressive. I need to fix that. Or we've been on here a long time and it's supposed to only do something every 15 minutes. All right, Zwave. Let's go to Zwave. Get comfortable here. Make my head go out of the frame. All right, zwave.js. All right, so if you haven't watched my other video, at some point you can do that, but I am already running both of these things, or I was running OpenZwave, and I installed OpenZwave just to show me moving over to zwave.js. 510 on my VM didn't have it. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if it is a Pi thing. I don't really know what's going on with that. I had somebody, and I don't know if they're on the live stream today or not, but I had somebody have continuous problems trying to install the Pi. They would just sit there and it would just spin on that screen saying setting it up for hours and hours and hours. And I don't know if that's part of this issue or something else, but I hope they finally got it installed. We'll see if they say anything here. All right, so Thieslo. Hey, Thieslo. Yeah, congratulations on switching over. So I'm not sure how to show this necessarily. I'm just going to talk through a few things. So I had OpenZwave installed, and I had one device. And what I did was I turned it off, and I clicked stop over here. And I did a start on boot. I made sure this was off. This probably will grab some people as well. If you don't turn this off and you reboot it, you're going to have two things that are going to try to run Zwave at the same time. And that's going to be a problem. And I think that's what got me on my production system. Oh, you know what I can do? So this is already up and running on my test system. Let's get wild and crazy here. Let's go over to my production system. And let's see what I have installed here. I'll update that later. So I have Zwave.js, it's not running, and I have OpenZwave. So this is what is currently running. So this is the process. And before I do that, let me just see what the state of affairs are. Okay. Things are gonna stop working. So here we go. I'm just gonna stop it, and we're gonna do this on live TV. This is gonna be a lot of fun. And you want to make sure and I actually turned this off earlier when I was playing around with it. One of the issues I have, and while we're doing this, I guess I can look at that. Let's get rid of all these extra things here. Under developer tools, and I have another video that goes into detail about moving things over and understanding what is what. Now, if you're going to use Zwave to JS to MQTT, that's a whole nother story because it gives you a nice UI to use that with. And James, I'm curious on that one. I did, well, I got it to work, but did you install the JS to MQTT add-on and then it did other things like install? Was that a fully contained package? I'm curious. And while he's answering that, all right, so Node ID. Yeah, I'm not really going to do it live. And the reason why is because I can always switch back. So here's all the nodes, right? And I copied these down into a spreadsheet. So I knew what the node ID belonged to because everything is stored on the actual the USB device, the stick, right? All of your devices are stored there. And they're not stored in Home Assistant. Home Assistant reads it. So node ID 30 is still going to be node ID 30. It's still the device that it is right now. So in this case, let's do 10. I always play with this one. Node ID 10 is the Playroom light. If I go to OpenZwave.js or Zwave.js, it's going to still be node ID 10, but it's going to be a different name, whatever name it discovers it under. So let's go with, I'll just copy this for now. What I'm not going to do is rename all this stuff. Okay, so Control C, and I'm going to open, let's not open that. Thank you very much. How about Excel? I'm going to do a new workbook. I'm going to paste it in here. That way, I guess. And then you've got all of these nodes. Now, one of the things you can do if you're an Excel whiz or whatever, you can see how you can split this node ID so you get just the node ID. You can filter. Anyway, the point is you now have a listing of all your devices in that so you don't lose them. So you know now node 10 is a Playroom light. So when you come back and try to do this and you don't know which device belongs to what, you need to keep a record of that. All right, so that's it for that. It's stopped. I've got all my things running and it's turned off. So if it starts on boot, it's not going to be a problem. Now what I'll do is I'll turn on Zwave.js. Again, I'm not going to start either one of these things on boot until I'm ready to actually use it for reals. For reals. That's a real word. You can look it up. For reals. I'm going to start it up. And while it's starting up, let's see here. We have what hardware is required for using Z-Wave on the HA on a Raspberry Pi? Yeah, so that was a question that was asked a few times in the launch party chat. I don't know. I've got Node 4 has failed and dead. I don't know what it is, but I can't remove it. I tried removing it. I think you might be able to do it through like what James is talking about through the Z-Wave to Z-Wave.js to MQTT. I have so many Z-Waves in my head now that I can't even remember which one I'm talking about. So it installs exactly like the official add-on. So I asked, how do you install the Z-Wave.js to MQTT? So it installs like the official add-on, but has the UI. Brian on the server as well. I work around for my Novella Vs. Oh, India. Jagadish is from India. Yep, Jagadish, you're going to do a lot of learning. I guarantee you that. It's fun stuff. A lot of stuff to play with. I mean, I look at videos every day, or I see comments or retweets from Home Assistant team or whatever of things I never even thought about doing that people are doing with this. It's amazing. With a little creativity, you've got enough components that you can integrate with Home Assistant. You can build pretty much anything you want to. Anything. All the communication protocols are covered. All the devices are pretty much covered. You can just do whatever you want. Okay, this is running. Now what? Let's go over to integrations and see what we have. The only way I found to modify the Z-Wave DB is on a Windows machine with Z-Wave PC Controller 5. All right, let me. I know I've done this before. Let me just move this out of the way real quick, and I'm going to go to integrations because I know I have some emails and junk on there. Is it already installed? All right, so there is, and I'll show you over here on this one. There is an integration called Zwave.js. And in my video, if you install this integration first, it will install the add-on for you. It will ask you to install the add-on. So when you do that, make sure you do install the add-on. Do this first and it'll save you a step. Once you get there, and I'll just now show you this on my other machine. So we're not showing all of my personal information there. These are all the devices that it knows about. So these are all of the things it picked up off of the USB stick, the AOTech. So you can see now, and also what I've done on my production system is I have put the network key. The network key is funny in Node Z-Wave.js because under, and I'll just do an example here. Under my original Z-Wave setup, I have something like this. These aren't the real keys, but whatever. That's how it shows up in Z-Wave integration and Open Z-Wave beta. When I went to put this key, and it's 32 digits long or whatever, into Z-Wave.js, it said it was an invalid key format. So I had to, I played around, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think it's something like 001, 002, 003. And if you have something like 0x, And somebody please tell me there's a converter that I don't know about. If you have something like that, it's still going to be 00F. And you build that out, you just convert this key, you take the X out. I think you're just removing the X, honestly, from your original key. But if there's a converter out there, then I would, or somebody tell me I'm doing this the hard way. But that's how I did it. I finally, through trial and error, figured out what my network key was in the format that Zwave.js uses. Obviously, I can't show you that because I don't want to show my network key, but there it is. And along the lines of somebody asking here about AOTech products. So hey, just to plug my video, Sebastian, I have a video on installing the AOTech multi-sensor 6. That's me. How do I get there? That's me. It's me. B videos. AOTech. Where is it at? Anyway, there's a video in here somewhere of me installing that AOTech sensor. I have 4 now of those, or 5. How come I don't have AOTech? I can't see what it's highlighting. Somewhere in my videos is that. Anyway, I have 4 or 5 of those. I think those are fantastic devices. In the one in the study, which by the way, the one in the study is this one right here. The motion sensor, I actually turned the study light on here with that motion sensor. And so the battery lasts about 6 months because I have it updating often. It's a lot. There's a lot of traffic in there, but I've got one in the attic that measures the attic temperature. That's this one right here. And it gets to be 120 degrees in the attic. So that one's been fine. I have one in the garage. It goes anywhere from probably 40 degrees Fahrenheit to, and these are all Fahrenheit, to 110, 100, whatever degrees in the garage. That one sits there and goes everywhere. And then I have a couple more in the house. So I'm a fan of these AOTech devices. And if you look here, the reason I'm going on with that now is you can see that I have, well, that's interesting. Oh yeah, I have 27 devices. So somewhere in here, I have these other ones as well. I think these might be those that aren't showing up. No, here it is, multi-sensor 6. Multi-sensor 6. It's a ZW100 model. And a couple door locks with battery sensing. Time for a new battery on that one. And then the garage door controller. So, so James has the range extender and water. I didn't know they made the water leak sensors. I've got Shelly water leak sensors. I use those. They have a sensor 3. Now that one I hadn't heard of either. Showed up initially, then just died. I can re-add it and it shows again, but it just never really successful. So this is the reason why. And this is the point I'm going to get to next. Oh my gosh, Jim, that's a lot of. Yeah, so here's a command you can use to. Okay, so you're generating one, so that I get, Jim. But if you're moving from Z-Wave Beta and you have a network key or the integration, the built-in integration 1.4, you want to use the same key. And I've done that through multiple integration changes now. I use the same key. So yeah, you can create a new one using this command, but I want to know how you convert the 0x01 to the one that OpenZWave.js uses. And waking this up, yeah, so maybe wake it up. I'm looking here and no, go back. I see only 2 of my multi-sensor 6s here. If I look at my spreadsheet, you know what I don't see here? I don't see node ID, so I can't tell you what the node IDs are on here. But here's what I'm getting at now. So I have all of these things set up. So all of these items that I use for my Z-Wave stuff, which all these light switches and things are all Z-Wave. I can't do anything with them now because if I click on it, it doesn't know anything. The name of that switch is not the same as the name that we gave it. So if I want to switch over to this now, and I talk about this in the video better than I'm talking about it now, let's find node ID 10, or let's see what we have here. So these are all switches, on-off relay switches. Those are all the wall switches. And I'm not sure which one is node 10. Here's node 2. So I just have to go down the list. Node 3, node 8, node 9. All right, so this one here, this is the playroom switch. And if you look at the way I have it set up now, node ID 10, here, it's called switch.playroom play_room_light_OZW. And you can watch this video too if you're bored. When I went from 1.4, the integrated Z-Wave, to Z-Wave beta, I didn't remove the original, because if I had to go back, I wanted to be able to go back. And that's the point I'm trying to make, not very well, is I'm going to rename these one more time. I should have 28 devices. I know it says 27, but one of them isn't doing something. I have 28 devices. And I'm going to rename the 28 devices with, instead of OZW, I will probably put a JS at the end. Now you can delete your current Z-Wave setup and use the same name again. That way you don't have to go to your automations, you don't have to go to your dashboards and all of that to change it. I am not comfortable doing that yet on my production system, because I want to make sure everything in my production system works before I fully transition over to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new name or rename it to something other than OZW, just the same thing but JS at the end. So I can do that with this little gear up here. It's just called on-off relay switch. I'm going to say playroom. And is that what it was called? And this is one way to do this. Switch.playroom light. And I don't know what it's going to do here. So I'm going to update it. It just says playroom. Maybe a playroom light. And I think it actually will put the underscores in there for me. It's going to ask me if I want to rename it. Oh, nope. I want to do playroom light JS. Playroom light JS. Update it, and I'm going to rename all my entities. And interestingly enough, there's no entities other than that switch. So now if I flip the switch, if it worked, it won't turn itself back on. And I think it worked. It's back here. I can't see it, so I don't know if it's working or not. It probably is. I'm listening for the click on the wall. So now I've renamed that one. And if I go back to the integrations and I look at entities, oh well, stuff I'm trying to hide gets shown up anyway. Entities. All right, so if I look at entities for that playroom now, it should show up. Switch. Well, see, it's still showing that. And oh, you know what? Because I'm looking at the wrong entity. Hold up. Let me do the right thing here. Give me a moment. All right, well, here's the developer tools. I should find it here. And I don't see it here. So I'm not sure what it's doing now, why it's not showing up, but let's go back to integrations and I'll look at the actual entities for the zwave.js and see if that's showing up. So here are my zwave.js entities. You can see it's filtered. And let's look for playroom. All right, so here it is. Switch, on-off relay switch. So the entity ID didn't update the way I thought it should. So if I click on that, I can actually change this to, and this is the thing, playroom light JS. Update it. And now if I go to my dashboard, let me find a dashboard. Wow, so many tabs. If I go to my dashboard and I edit the dashboard and I edit this whole block of stuff. I'm going to find this 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down. Well, let's just search for Playroom. So here's Switch Playroom Lite OZW. Now if I change this to JS, now my Playroom Lite shows up. It's on, so it looks good. Now this is going to get really confusing for me. Probably you too. But now this is the only device in my dashboard that is running on the new JS integration. And I should be able to turn it on and off. And it looks like it worked. If I click this one, nothing's happening because it's referencing the Open Zwave stuff, and that's not turned on currently. But this one is. So there we go. It can get confusing when you do it that way. Now, I'm looking for the chat, sorry. Where's my chat? Come here, chat. So here we go. If you have to change out the Z-Wave stick, if it breaks down, it's only passkey you need to get all the node update new stick, or you have to learn them back in. If your Z-Wave stick, yeah, if your stick fails, so I think it's going to be highly device dependent. There are some of these devices that you can force remove or unpair, but some that have security keys, I don't know what happens to those. I fortunately have not had a USB stick fail. And for y'all on the stream, please comment on that. Tell me what happens if you lose a stick with something with a security key on it. Can you unpair it? Or is it very device dependent? Like my door locks, are they going to pair again? Can you force unpair them? Can you factory reset them? Now, if you can factory reset these things, then you're fine, because then you'll just repair it to the new device. Some of them won't unpair, and I'll give you an example. I was on a Vera hub way back, and I had my door locks in the Vera hub. I could not add them to Home Assistant to the USB stick on Home Assistant until I went to the Vera and unpaired them on the Vera. And that's for security reasons. You don't want someone driving down the road and trying to pair with your door locks just because they can. You have to unpair them. You've got to be close proximity, a lot of that kind of thing. So if you lose a stick, I don't know if you're going to be able to recover that or not. Surely, I say surely, that is something that can be done at some point. You may have to go through some hoops to get it undone, to get it factory reset, something like that. So I have not fortunately had to deal with that. I have 2 USB mesh networks now. I have the development one or test one, and I have the production one. Yeah, my family doesn't care. That's why I chose the light I chose. This room, who cares? No one cares. It's upstairs, away from everybody. Yeah, and James answers that question too. We're not sure. Somebody go bust their stick and try to make it work. Try to repair it and come back and let us know. All right. Gosh, Nightbot, you sure are being aggressive today. So we did one device. Now what I want to play with, and we'll go back to the development side of things here, the test side of things. I want to try. We're gonna try another thing here. We're gonna stop JS. Now this is on my test thing, so I'm okay. It's not started at boot, and I want to play with the Z-Wave to MQTT thing. And first of all, do I have MQTT running on this? It'd be an integration, so I think I do. So I have MQTT here. Oh, it's talking over to my other device. Well, that might be interesting. I wonder. I bet it picks up my my other server. All right, let's do this. We're going to add Z-Wave to MQTT add-on, the JS MQTT thing. So Z-Wave to JS to MQTT. First, to documentation. Now, I'm going to point something out here that I read. It is recommended to use the official add-on instead of this one. Okay. The sentence before that. Oh, I don't need MQTT? Okay. By default, the Home Assistant Z-Wave JS integration will try to set up the official Z-Wave JS add-on from the official add-on store. It is recommended to use the official add-on instead of this one. Okay. We're going to try it anyway, and I also need my serial port information. All right, so let's just install it first. So James, how does it, will it pick up my Zwave JS on my other Home Assistant deal because it's on the same network, or is it all going to be just local to this one? Let me get a drink here. Now on a Raspberry Pi 4, things are slower. One day, I'm going to open that Odroid or get that Odroid up and running. I want that to be my production system. I just am trying to... I just saw myself do a side shot of drinking. Let me do that again. Side shot of drinking. This is a not sponsored cup. It is not a Yeti. It is just a knockoff, but it works just as well. Be happy to have a Yeti if someone wants to send me one. I think it's local to this JS. Okay, so here it is. Now configuration, I need to do nothing. Okay, I'm going to do nothing. So I'm going to start it, and we're going to see what happens. Now this is me experimenting, me figuring out how things work. Yes, I need branding. So what you're saying, Theslo, is I need some merch. I need some merch. It's just water. I had 2 cups of coffee this morning, and I need to drink some water. I try to drink 3 of those things a day. It seems helpful. Water seems to be important, so I drink a lot of water. My vice is coffee. I do enjoy coffee. I enjoy coffee at any time of the day. Some people think it's weird to drink coffee in the afternoon. Now I know those of you who are not in the US, coffee is a different experience. When I was in India, for example, I wanted a mug of coffee. I don't know where you get those in India, because even at the office I was at, they had you drink a shot and that's it. You just you're done. You know, I sip and I maintain, coffee is a social thing for me. It's like people that go to the bar and drink drinks at a bar and socialize. I drink coffee and I socialize. So the idea of drinking a shot of coffee to me it's not my thing, but I do enjoy a nice delicious cup of coffee. Oh, it's already okay. Sorry. Here we go. Yes, I do make cold brew sometimes. I've been living a little bit more on the hot coffee side of things. It's been a little cooler lately. But I grind some stuff, and I have this little cold brew thing that I make coffee in, and I put it in the refrigerator, and then I work on that for a few days. So yeah, hot coffee in the morning, iced in the afternoon. I have an espresso machine. It's not the fancy aerate the coffee milk thing. It's just a regular brewer that I use. So I do enjoy that. I wish I could buy the coffee pucks from somewhere besides the Nespresso boutique, because I can get them quicker from other places, but whatever. I do enjoy it. All right. So I need to configure, Oh, okay. So let's start it up. Did I start it already? Did I try it? No, I didn't. All right. Oh, wait. What's going on here? Okay. Where's the path? I know I did this yesterday when I was playing with it. Oh, so it doesn't have an example here. So I need to put in the path. Where does it say to do that? Open the Zwave to JS MQTT control panel by clicking Open Web UI. Well, it's not running. Do I need to start it first? Did I not start it? What's going on here? Maybe it started and it doesn't refresh the screen. Okay. I have had this issue all the time. It doesn't, when I start something, it doesn't necessarily refresh the screen and tell me it's running. So now we open the web UI, and now we go driver path. And so to find that, I need to go back over here. I'm going to go to my other settings, configuration, and that's a random key that doesn't do anything on the system. So ignore that. And then we'll go back over here to the configuration. I know y'all are I'm killing y'all with all this. Set the path. Oh, settings, path. You're watching the blind lead the blind here today. Serial port. There you go. There's my serial port. Okay. So I've got it in there, and I don't need a network key. Enable the Zwave JS WebSocket. I'll leave that open. And right now it says disable gateway. So James, did you actually use this as a gateway? If you disable this, it uses this only as a control panel. I'm going to start that way. So I'm going to save it. Uh-oh. It contains errors. Fix it. All right, don't be so demanding with me. What did I not do? My configuration contains errors. Okay. Tell me what the error is. And I did get this running the other day, and now I'm not getting it running. Okay, well, I didn't change anything. Now it does. Okay. So now I've got it up and running, and now it sees my stick, and now it sees this thing. So James, what is it doing now? Does this give me the ability to interact with my Z-Wave devices if I have the gateway turned off? Or no? What does this actually give me the ability to do? Because if I look at, this is the control panel, and here's hidden nodes. I don't have any, I have some stuff, whatever it was. And here is the device, and these are the node actions. Binary switch, I can turn it on or off. Actually, yeah, so it's talking to my switch. This is a switch I have in the room with me here. It turns it on and off. I can name it. So test demo switch. Oh yeah, I can only do under test demo switch. You can set the location if you want. All right, so push that button. Now I've named it. Called test demo switch. Not secure. It's not failed. It is alive. So now how do I reference this to talk to the devices in my control panel? Can I find this entity here? Let's find out. So I go to developer tools and I look for test demo switch. It's not here. So now, James, it has to get from the Z-Wave to MQTT. The Z-Wave to MQTT thing here where I'm talking to the devices. And okay, so I guess there's a couple of ways you can do this. Number one, this is right now talking to the stick, which is talking to the devices, but it is not doing anything. There's no bridge between this and Home Assistant. So how do you get from this Z-Wave JS to MQTT and bring it into Home Assistant so you can interact with these devices? Is that now going into settings? Right, I see that, James. If I turn this off and I save it, now what does that do? Does that send information over MQTT to the Home Assistant instance? What I'm getting at here, right, is this is a confusing thing. I think we'll have a lot of confusion for folks. Is you have Z-Wave JS as an add-on. You have Z-Wave JS to, oh, you're right. James hits the nail on the head. And I did this the other day. Add the device through the integrations. Let me go back to integrations and do it the right way. Let me turn this other thing off that I just messed with. So I want to turn this thing back off that I just turned on. I don't want to use the gateway. So let's turn that off. So disable gateway, save it. All right. Now this makes sense. Now integrations, look for Z-Wave. Oh, it's already here. So how is it using that? Yeah, I'm still confused. I need to pull James on the call here. James is smarter than me this morning. Because I'm looking for... So am I supposed to use MQTT, James? Is that what we're doing here? So MQTT's off. If I do Zwave, I only have Zwave, and these are the integrations that I have. So instead of using, and I think this is using the built-in add-on, do I need to change it to use a different add-on? Or is it automatically doing that for me? So here's the switch. And it's not the thing that I just created in the other thing. It's using the same server that JS does. It just has an interface. Okay. So how come I don't see in the dashboard here? Let me close all these before I get confused. In the dashboard, I see, let me open this in a new tab. Oh, it doesn't let me. I see this test demo switch. Where does this show up in my Home Assistant instance? Is that showing up under the integrations? Or do I need to turn something else on here that I haven't done? Because I see the devices, right? I see all these things, but I'm not seeing these things in Home Assistant. And if I look at the integrations page, I see the Zwave JS integration. I see 4 entities, but I don't see the thing that I've added into. So I'm missing a step somewhere. So what is the step that I'm missing? That's going to help us all understand this. And maybe I need to read the documentation. Okay, so how are you, James, how are you actually using this? Are you just using it to interact with the devices and not necessarily using the stuff for MQTT? Or not using it to interface with HA? Because, and the reason I ask that is, I can't run Zwave JS and Zwave JS to MQTT both at the same time. If I enable the gateway now, and I go into the web UI and I turn that on, which is what I thought. If I go into the settings and I turn on the gateway, and I save it, I should have some settings here for the gateway. So MQTT is talking to the core MQTT, so I would have to listen to the MQTT topics, and then I would have to build out MQTT sensors for all of these things, right? Or am I wrong? So James is using it. I need James to jump on here. All right, anyway, so I know I'm confusing the lot of y'all, and I'm confusing myself, and I apologize for that. You can use this as the gateway to your devices, which we've demonstrated right here. I can turn the device on and off just clicking this button here. I think what I've done is I've split some things where I shouldn't have. Now, if I go over to integration and look at MQTT, I don't have this installed. So I need a broker locally. So let me add a broker. And maybe that's the missing piece here. So I'm going to do a MQTT broker on the machine itself. So Mosquito broker, I'm going to install it. Because the integration here that I have set up now is talking to my other Home Assistant server because I was playing around with something. And when you start doing this, where you start having multiple Home Assistant things on the same network and all this, and you're playing around, you start getting confused. So I've got the broker installed. I don't think there's any configuration. I'm going to start it and see if it works. Let me just make sure my other one looks the same. Socket error on client unknown disconnecting. All right, hold on. So what I want to do is I want to be able to listen with the MQTT stuff on the local machine, which means I need a broker for that. You can push this stuff to another machine. And I don't have anything set up here. All right, so I don't know what it's doing disconnecting here. It didn't run. Oh. So something's already running there. And I know I'm diverging way off at the topic here, but this might be another video. Now it says it's running. So if I go to the integration now, and I'm going to reconfigure this to listen locally. Let me look at the broker on my production machine and make sure, or the integration, and make sure it's correct. This is all defaulted when you install it. So the reason I'm doing this is because I made some changes. And this should be core Mosquito. And this would be installed this way for you. If you just install the add-on without changing anything, it'll be this way for you. Port ATD3, and then you have username and password. And that's probably incorrect. All right, so I need to go in here and change the users. Welcome to live TV. Let me go create a user for MQTT stuff. I'm just going to create a new user, MQTT. And I'll just create a password. And it won't be administration. All right, now back over to my Mosquito broker. Oops, my integration, sorry. Mosquito, reconfigure, Mosquito, core Mosquito. And we'll do MQTT and change the password. Submit it. All right, enable discovery, enable birth message. Okay, great. And there we go. So now I'm running a broker on the device here. If I listen to everything on here, let's just see what it's hearing, if anything. I mean, that switch over here that I'm messing with, that's the controller. If I turn this switch on and off, yeah. All right, so let's see what James is telling me to do right. Zwave.js is the name, same as Zwave.js MQT. It just works exactly the same, but the interface is added to the configured devices. If you want it to automatically add the device based on the name, you have to use MQTT, and Home Assistant MQTT will auto-discover like any. Okay, so it's up and running now. Let me just make sure that I have it connected. So we'll go back over to Zwave.js MQTT and open the web UI. I wish I could open this in a new tab. It doesn't let me do that. And the gateway should be up and running. Oh, I'm sorry, MQTT should be up and running. So host core Mosquito, port 3000, retain, and send Zwave events, include node information. I don't know all these things you have to do. Save it. Okay, I'm sure it does. Oh, I don't think it needs that, but whatever. Okay, so then technically I should be able to see devices come across my MQTT integration. I hope it's not. Okay, cool. It's still listening. It's named wrong, but it's listening. So if I do a pound and start listening, yep, there it is. So here's my test demo switch. All right, that was ridiculous. Don't do what I did without learning about it first. And I apologize to all you who just pulled your hair out. So here is the stuff that it's seeing on the MQTT bus that is coming over from Zwave to MQTT. Now, I will say one thing about this. If you choose that method, you probably have a reason for using MQTT. You do not have to use MQTT. You can use Zwave.js And that talks directly to that integration without using MQTT. So you do not need MQTT for this setup. If you're running your Z-Wave stuff on a different device and you want to publish to your MQTT server that is on Home Assistant, or you run it here and you want to publish to another MQTT server where you're doing things, then you would use Z-Wave JS to MQTT. You can alternately, like James said, you can just use this without the MQTT part of it, but you have to create your sensors. You still got to use MQTT though. So the easy way is just to use the Z-Wave JS integration, have it install the add-on, and then you're done. It shows your entities and everything else. So the Z-Wave to MQTT, the nice thing about it is it does have a nice interface. One thing I don't understand, which was talked about on the launch party, is if I look at this interface, this is attached to my controller right now. I don't believe I can start up the regular add-on because it's a duplication of the, I mean, they're both trying to talk to the same port. So if you're running this for the interface purpose, I don't know how you run the other one, and maybe James can talk about it. And that's something I'll have to learn myself. I like the interface here because you get all your Z-Wave devices, but then you have to get this stuff over into Home Assistant somehow. So I hope that makes sense. It was hard for me to talk through that. So how about some questions? Anybody have any questions on this? Did y'all just leave after this because of what I just did? That made my brain hurt. Let me try to recap a little bit. Maybe that will be helpful because I know I just confused everybody. Let's see if anybody's even still watching. Hold on a second here. Well, there's still people on here, so I didn't scare everybody off. Here's the thing. There are the easy way, and please watch my other video. I released it last night. It talks about how to use the Z-Wave JS stuff. But if you go into integrations and you search for Z-Wave, you've got Z-Wave, which is the built-in, that's deprecated. You have Z-Wave JS, which is what we're talking about using today, and that's the path forward that you should be using. And then you have Open Z-Wave Beta, which is what I was on before I went to Z-Wave JS. You need to, once you get this here and you choose this one, see now, if you already have the add-on installed, it's going to ask you for that. And you're going to say yes. I'm not going to go through with that because I already did it. And then you'll have this integration here with your devices and your entities. When you say use the add-on, it's going to install this Z-Wave JS add-on. You can only run one of these things at the same time. If you try to run this one, you can't run this one. So the easiest way, if you're not wanting to use MQTT, is just run the Z-Wave JS. Don't worry about Z-Wave JS to MQTT. You do not need that for this. If you're a tinkerer or you have MQTT or you know what you're doing with MQTT, then you can do that. You have to have the MQTT add-on or broker somewhere in your network or somewhere where you can access this stuff. I guess you could send it outside your network if you really wanted to. But you have to have an MQTT broker listening somewhere. Then you send this information from this to the broker. If your broker is on your Home Assistant instance, it will pick up your devices for you and you will have those as well. Hope I'm saying that all right. So the easiest way, use Z-Wave JS, use the built-in Z-Wave JS add-on, and don't worry about this. This gives you a nice interface and it gives you some other commands to be able to run. But that's more advanced if you're doing that kind of work. I don't know what happened here. Now it's all gone. I broke it all. All right. On the topic of Z-Wave JS, I've been trying to get my Zeus Zen 21 to operate scenes when I'm in developer tools, events, listen to events. No events are being heard. do a video about 3D floor plan with all entity using picture element card. The thing is looking cool. I will put that on my list. I have not played with that. I need to find a 3D floor plan of my house, I suppose. All right, so the question was on the topic, okay, when I'm in developer tools, so I've been trying to get my Zeus Zen 21 to operate. What is that? Ah, I have one of those in a box that I was going to play with. So you're saying that, and that's a light switch, to operate the scenes when I'm in developer tools, events, listen to events. All right, let's go there. Now, I don't have this switch, but I'm going to go there in developer tools, events, listen. So about it, where are you listening in here? When you say listen to events. Oh, here we go. This is going to be your just everything. Is it just star? I guess this is MQTT stuff. No events are being heard. I did use Zwave JS event. Okay, so if you just do a hashtag about it, does it show that here, or does it show anything? And what's interesting too is my stuff stopped working on my Zwave JS integration. So I'm seeing nothing at all. I guess this is the same way you can do this through the MQTT stuff. Yeah, play around offline. Definitely, James. And I apologize. My goal wasn't to confuse everybody. I wanted to see how the MQTT stuff, MQTT JS, oh, golly, see, I can't even say it. The Zwave JS MQTT worked. I wanted to play around with that a little bit. And I totally goofed it up. But, you know, in real life, I would have done that offline a little bit before I played around on live TV. So about it, what do you, when you're looking at, do you have anything, well, first of all, what's your setup? Are you trying to, are you doing MQTT stuff with your Z-Wave? I'm assuming you're talking about Z-Wave JS to MQTT. If you're not, then if you look under states, does that Zeus thing show up under states anywhere? And now I need to figure out why my other stuff stopped working. Real quick, let me go back over here. Is this running? It is. Start listening. That's retained values. So I should see the same stuff over here. Interesting. I don't know how often that updates. On my production system, I get tons of data coming through because I have a lot of stuff going on. So maybe there's just nothing happening right now. Developer tools, back to events, listen to all events. Yeah, so I'm curious about it, how you're actually sending your you're just using ZWave. So you shouldn't see any events, right? Somebody else tell me this. This right here is just MQTT stuff, right? You say Zwave JS event. I don't, if I just start listening to, let's see, available events. This is where you have to find it over here. So you have state change for listeners. That's firing an event. These are things you can do. Component loaded. So I don't think you can put that down here and do anything with it. I think this is just all straight MQTT stuff. Let me go over to my production system and we'll look at events over there. So production system, events, developer tools, events. And if I'll just start listening there, this is going to probably be just crazy. I think I know what you're doing. So this is the event bus, state changed. Okay, here we go. So you're right. All right, so you're looking for Z-Wave. I don't even have any Z-Wave stuff here as available events. So I'm not sure that you would actually be able to hear anything. Have you listened to that before and you stopped hearing things, or have you ever been able to? Because these are the available events. If you look for state changed, I don't know how to filter any farther down, but all of these are items. Like if you're looking for Z-Wave stuff, your state changed might have it in here. I'm looking for other things that might be easier to see. Yeah, so you're going to have to figure out how to filter on state changed Z-Wave, but it would be state changed. And you said you looked for Z-Wave JS event. And you're probably doing this based on something you read that I'm not familiar with, so I'm probably talking outside of my face again. But let's just see if I see anything related to Z-Wave JS event. Now, I've only got one. Well, I am running Z-Wave JS now on the production system. I don't have anything named correctly, but I am running it. Yeah, I don't see Z-Wave. Do you have any Z-Wave devices on your system? A lot of the Z-Wave services and such went away with Z-Wave JS. Okay, so maybe that's the case, right? I don't have a listener for Z-Wave specifically, but event changed I do, and that's this up here. So, state changed. So I am seeing all state change stuff. But it's so much that I can't tell whether it's a Z-Wave item or not. I mean, I see sensors changing. These are temperature sensors. That's my weather stuff. And more weather stuff. More weather stuff. Sensor TX11. I don't know what that is. Oh, on my phone. Energy meter stuff. Energy meter is Z-Wave. So you may have to, I don't know how to filter any farther than this in this regard, but the energy meter is Z-Wave. Multi-sensor 6 is Z-Wave. So I am seeing stuff come through. What I don't see is, does it tell you where it comes from? Origin local, context, friendly name. That's EcoWit stuff. I need to stop listening. All right, so let me see if I can find a Z-Wave item on here and find out if it tells me what Z-Wave scene activated in my events. Oh, okay. So, by the way, do you know where Z-Wave JS can you configure parameters of Z-Wave device like OZW had? I did manage to get my iNovelli to work with scenes on Z-Wave JS, but Zeus not picking up. So you have Z-Wave scene activated in your events list. Are you talking about in this events list or up here in this available events? Because I don't have any scene set up. And so that may be something somebody else can answer. I am getting Z-Wave events because I can see them show up in here. And as soon as I see another one, I'll stop it for a second. Maybe. State change, that's looking for a device. Name. ESP. Internet time. Free PBX. Okay. See, I have so much stuff, it's going by so fast. Solar radiation. I don't know what, oh, that's coming from the weather stuff. Anyway, so both. So yeah, on the right. There's no interface in the official add-on. So Thiesel, I think you have to run this. Where is it at? Let me go back over to my. I wish I could open this in a new tab and leave it open. I mean, if I wanted to change something here, I can click on the configuration here. This is pretty neat because especially on things like door locks and stuff where you have the codes, I think you can change it here. But in Z-Wave JS to MQTT, this is what I heard them talking about that was nice. you can change things here, like these codes. You got to know what they are. But you can go in here and you can change stuff on the devices here. You just set it. You like push the value and then click the button here. So that is where I know you can set things. And if I had an AOTEX thing in here, it'd be interesting to see that, because I could set like I remember seeing that the lights, like my in-wall switches, have a little blue light. So you can set that whether that blue light is on whenever the switch comes on, or the blue light is off when the switch is on, or whatever. So you can see it. So you can set those things. Yeah, and so James is talking about it, right? That's why he did the JS to MQTT version. So there is a roadmap somebody posted somewhere on the things that they're working on for the Z-Wave JS integration. I hope that they have the ability to set things, but right now that is this Z-Wave JS to MQTT allows you to do a lot of stuff here. I mean, just all these settings. So yeah, unfortunately you got to do the whole MQTT thing, which for me was fine. I do that with some of my other devices, but I don't know how to create all these sensors within unless it's automatic, which I think James said it was automatic. All right, what were we talking about? Scenes. So I'm not seeing any, I'm not seeing anything for Z-Wave scenes. I don't have any here, but you're saying it's on the right. So about it on your scenes, I'm assuming you've triggered a scene or something, right? When you're watching that feed, does it show up in there when you trigger that scene? Just looking through here real quick. I don't do scenes, and I maybe I should try. I don't even know where those are. Let's see. SC scene. Navigate to. Nope. Where are the scenes anyway? Under automations? Scripts? Nope. I did this on another feed. I didn't know where the scenes were. So I'm trying to find it now. I don't see it. But, I think that maybe you're not triggering a scene. I don't know how to even do that. Where are the scenes at? Somebody tell me scenes. Scenes in homeless. I wish the feedback were quicker on chat so I could get immediate feedback, but it's not. Scene editor. Well, where's the scene editor? Scene editor. Configuration, click on scenes. Oh, see, I had this problem. I didn't have scenes as an option on mine before. So I don't have scenes. Why wouldn't I have scenes? Probably because I have a YAML setting. Maybe an update to Z-Wave JS will bring back the configure parameters. Yeah, I don't think that Z-Wave JS has those. Or an update, yes, I believe that's true. So it ran without using the MQTT, just like the official add-on, but then could also adjust the devices. I did enable the MQTT services because my Annabelle fan buttons were not visible. Okay, so I messed it up. You don't need MQTT. What I probably will do is I will start fresh. I will go back to on my production system anyway. I'll go back to Z-Wave Beta, and then I will install and remove the add-ons. Install just the JS to MQTT add-on, so I can have the nice interface with the official the integration, and then see if everything just shows up that way. If that's the case, then we're good to go. In fact, what time is it? I got a few more minutes. Let's just really screw up my production system. We'll go into my production system, and we will remove. Let me go back to. Here we go. Kids, don't try this at home. I'm going to stop my add-on for OpenZWave, or for Z-Wave JS, and I'm going to remove it. So stopping it. Before that, I'm going to grab my... Well, that's interesting. The network key for JS. Oh, that's what it was. The JS to MQTT network key was the issue. That's where I needed that funny key. All right, so let me go find that JS deal and make sure I haven't removed that. So I'm going to remove the official add-on, and I'm going to remove the official add-on. So uninstall it. This is the, I believe it's the, yeah, this is the add-on. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to pretend like I didn't do anything with JS yet. I need to go back to the JS here, and I need to get my key, which is not here. I'm going to uninstall. All right, so I don't have that. All right, so I've uninstalled Zwave.js. The only thing I have now is Open Zwave. That's what I was running before. And now for the integrations, I'm going to remove, that's where I have all my emails. Integrations, I'm going to remove the Open Zwave, or the Zwave.js. So let me go ahead and delete it. All right, so I don't have any Z-Wave stuff. So now let's go back to the add-on store. Let's pretend like I didn't do anything at all before. So the only thing I have Z-Wave wise is just Open Z-Wave. All right, so let me install the add-on for Z-Wave.js to MQTT and just use this one. And I will need a key eventually, but I'm not going to put it on there now. I'm losing people. Oh my gosh. Y'all bored of this yet? Let me know if you're bored of it, and I will stop doing this. Configuration. Again, I need to start it and do the path. So I'm going to start this up. I'm not going to do anything with MQTT. And I'm going to, it's not ready yet. All right, so I have to go in here and I have to set up the serial port and the network key. So for that, I need to go get my serial port. I'm gonna do that this way, so I don't show my network key. So this is my serial port. So there's that. Put it in here, and I know that I won't have a network key yet. I'll have to add that later. And then leave everything else the same. I'm going to save it. No, it doesn't. You're lying. All right. It's interesting. It says it's got an error first, and then I do it again. It doesn't have an error. Okay, now it's up and running. Now I should start seeing a bunch of stuff. All of my stuff starts showing up. And now it's going through, and it's going through this interview stage. And let me put this up here on the main screen. It's going through this interview stage, and it's determining what all the devices are. So James says that I don't have to do anything with MQTT part of this. And now, please install your Zeus and play with it and get back with us with the results. Yep, I need to do that because I have a switch that I think is failing. My Playroom switch that I spend so much time messing with, I've either jacked it up, playing with it, sent it a command I didn't like, but now I can't turn it on and off sometimes with the switch itself. So something's going on with that. So I need to install that Zeus switch to play with it. Actually trying the same thing right now, but I only have about 6 of those in case I need to wipe it and restart. Yep. So this is coming up now. It's interesting. It's taking a long time to identify it. Unknown manufacturer, unknown product. Well, what was node ID 25 before? Garage door opener. Okay, so this is the reason. This one is security, needs a security key. So it will not identify this. And I did this before. It will not identify this product until I put the security key in. So it's going through and it's finding my other devices now. It may take a little bit of time to build all those things. Yeah, see, the Node 25 supports security, but something. I don't know what that says. Okay, and we're bringing it up. Now, I should go over to, while this is running, I'm going to go back over here. I've got too many windows open. I'm going to go back over to, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. Let me open a new tab. I'm going to go to my production integrations, and I'm going to add in the Zwave.js. Actually, it found it for me. It's automatically discovered. That's what I was hoping would happen. Configure. Do you with the Zwave JS add-on? Okay, that's what I didn't do before. That's why it was confused about what it was talking to. So you can use a Zwave to JS to MQTT thing, but don't install the other junk first. Install one of these things, not all of them like I did. Why do I have to do this again? I just did this. All right, well, we'll do it again. Supervisor, system, host, hardware, this thing, all of it. Copy, go here, put the path in here. I don't have a key yet. I'm not sure why it did that. I should already be using what was configured, but hopefully that didn't just explode a bunch of things. Okay, so it's still going through its protocol info stuff. It is taking a long time. That is interesting. All right, so it's configured. It's got one service, 14 entities. Wait, that's the wrong deal. Zwave is the bottom. So it's got nothing yet. If I click on this, nothing happening right now. So we'll wait and we'll see what happens as it builds. So anyway, I think now it's going to start adding these things, like these nodes. Eventually, these will show up in here. We'll just have to see and give it time. So I see that Thiesel, you're doing this now. That same process, did it work? I'm wondering. And we won't go too much longer because I know that it's getting close to lunchtime here. I didn't have to put the stick stuff in it. Yeah, so I don't understand why it did that. I hope it didn't kill this because it was running. None of this is up. Zwave. Network key. Okay. So it has, I don't know if it stopped discovery or what, but let me restart this add-on. Make sure that it's, let me check the logs first to make sure that's not doing something weird. No, it added all the nodes, but the network is not doing anything. So let me just do a quick restart of that node and watch the logs and make sure it's not now competing with something that it shouldn't have used. Logs are your friends. Make sure you're always looking at logs when you have questions. Okay. Fine. Okay, get not found. Why do I care about that? Scenes not found, nodes not found. Listening on port 3000. Failed to initialize a driver. Timeout, we're waiting for an ACK from the controller. Yeah, so why did it ask me to install that stick again? Because I think when it did that, it did something dumb. Like it, yeah, see? Failed to initialize the driver. All right, so this is going to take some playing with. I do know that the regular Z-Wave one, hold on, look. There it is. Everything's unknown. Well, see, look, and I wonder, wow. I will play with this offline because I know y'all are probably tired of seeing this. If you want to use Z-Wave JS, this is the bottom line. Don't mess with the MQTT stuff. Just go straight to the Z-Wave JS and then add the integration. And it will ask you to add the add-on and it will find all your devices and you're good to go. What we're doing here is a little bit more advanced. Also, I'm doing it on a system that I've played with over and over again. And I think that something is goofed up here now that I may need to do a host reboot or a supervisor reboot or something. So we're going to just leave that. We're going to leave that alone for now. Go through a few more questions here, and then I'm going to wrap up the stream because I've probably destroyed all my credibility on this one. Look at the add-on, see if it tried to install the official. I'll do that. Let me go to the add-ons and just see if it tried to install the official add-on. instead of the other one because it's competing with something. Oops. Go to supervisor add-ons. And what do we have? Yeah, see, look, why did it do that? So when it asked me if I wanted to install the add-on, it didn't install the Zwave JS MQTT. It installed this other one. Did it stop it? Okay, that one is stopped. This one is running or not running? Let's try. I'll probably have to restart it anyway. Let's just restart it because it tried to get its, it tried to access the controller and it couldn't. Okay, so it should, now it's connected. It's listening on the port. Interview, all the nodes are up. Okay, so now it's there. Now I open the web UI. I see some devices. It's going through and pulling in some more devices, I hope. Now, if I go back over to the integrations page and I look at Zwave JS, hopefully it doesn't say unknown. See, now this is the problem. I'm going to remove this thing again. I know I said I was going to stop, but I'm a glutton for punishment. We know that this one is running. Do I have it up twice? No. We know this is running. So now I will go back over here and try to add the integration one more time. Zwave JS. Do you want to use the Zwave JS supervisor add-on? No. Oh, here we go. So it needs to know where this stuff is. So if I go back here and I look at the log, it's listening on, where'd it go? Oh, I've lost it already. It's listening on what? Or is it just default? Let's just go with default. We'll see what it does. Nope. Okay. So James, did you have to do any of this stuff? You think you installed a second add-on that is now running too. And Trenton, I don't have the steps needed to install Zwave JS on a VN virtual environment type of install. I think it's the same. You just have to open ports and whatnot. Okay, so I don't know what's happening. I think I need to start over one more time. Of course, this is my production system, so now I've hosed this all up. I don't know where it's listening. Server port is 3000. So it should be this. Let's do this. I bet you if we take this and we put it in here, it's not localhost. It's because it's a container, it's that. Wait for it. Oh, darn it. So close. But typically, it's listening on server port 3000. The WS server is up and running. And it should be typically listening to this right here. Unless I have to specify the IP address instead of localhost. But it is 3000. We know that for sure. It is the WS protocol. That's the container address. That's the port. It's not outright failing immediately, but it is failing. All right, so let's try the IP address of the box. I'm going to figure this out, but probably not on the live feed. Yeah, I doubt it's going to connect there either. I think there's something else on that port. So here's what I'll do. I'll make this some random port because there may be something else going on here. 4895, I don't know, it's random. 4895, save it. We'll take this again. Whoops, this right here. This is the container address. It should know it's the container address on the box. What did I say the port was? 4895. Submit it. And then we'll try one more thing, and then we're going to be out of here. That didn't work, so we'll try 4895, but the local IP address. 4895, make sure that's 4895. Yep. I don't know why I did that. Okay, well, I'm going to have to play with this. I will make it work. I do like the idea of, all right, let me just read James here. I think I had it running on Zwave JS first, and the integrations was already up. Then I stopped the official and added the JS to MQTT. Okay, stop. Okay, now we are, okay, so now let me start back up the other one. Let's see, let me see what you said. I had it running on Zwave JS first. Okay, so I'm going to add the integration. I'm going to tell it to start up, or I'm going to do the integration. And I'm going to just do what you did, Zwave JS. Okay. Use the supervisor add-on. It's going to want the port. I'll get that again for you. Hardware. Put that up here. Yep. All right. I'll do the key later. Submit it. And it should start up this stuff. Okay. JS is up and running, or it will be. Oh, see, now it found all my, well, it found all these nodes. So I'll just finish because we'll have to rename those anyway. So it's got 27 devices. And now let's stop it. So James says he stopped it. So Theslo I did, but then I realized the JS integration didn't seem to be pulling from Qt when the setting items up. So if I go to the device in JS now with JS running, I can turn it on and off. So I knew that worked. That worked for me with JS to MQTT. That works fine. It's getting it to work with Home Assistant is the problem. I'm going to stop this one, turn it off. And I think this is what I tried to do on my test server. I just installed it and fired it up, and it didn't show anything. So I'm going to start that one. I'm going to go to the web UI. As soon as it's ready. All right, so driver ready. So if I go to integrations, this is what I think is the issue now. I have 27 devices. They're owned by Zwave JS. They're not owned by Zwave JS MQTT. So yeah, I know that, okay, I'm done. I'm done doing this on the live stream. I will figure it out. I may just need to start over and deal with that. But I think that's the fun for me. I mean, I'm not crazy about, I'm not going crazy over this whole thing. I can go back to the original OpenZWave beta and everything will work fine on my production system. I'm just not sure on the Z-Wave to MQTT stuff why it keeps trying to go to the other one and then nothing is working. So if I go to the device in JS now with JS running, I turn it off. Okay, but on James, and the final question, James, on yours, when you look at your integration, are all the devices owned by Zwave JS, or are they owned by Zwave JS MQTT, or something like that? Yeah, and James, if you're not on my Discord, you can jump on my Discord and maybe screenshot it or something later on. I'm gonna have to call it here in just a minute anyway because the kids are. I need to go do some family stuff. So I appreciate everyone sitting through. Typically, my live streams aren't trying to figure something like this out. I'm typically showing things, but this is kind of cool because what you're doing is you're getting an idea of the process. Now this is still working. It's still finding things. So that's good. You get an idea of kind of the troubleshooting process, and you also get an idea that I'm a fallible human. And so things don't always go the way I want them to. And I do pull my hair out at times with things that don't work. So when you're playing with Home Assistant, today's lesson is It doesn't always go as planned. You may have to do some troubleshooting. You may have to do some extra work to figure out what's going on. I will have to do some more work to figure out the MQTT side of things. I can run Zwave JS with just the official add-on without the MQTT add-on, and it will work fine. I want the MQTT because number one, now it's a challenge accepted. Number two, I like the interface that it has, and I like being able to set some things. And I do have the need to set things on my door locks for codes. I do have the need to set things like where the LED works on or off depending on how the light switch state is set and that kind of thing. So I want that. I want this to work. I just don't know why everything here is coming up as Z-Wave. It's not picking stuff up from my MQTT stuff. So with that being said, yeah, so I don't know, Thieslo, because it's just talking, it's talking to the WS server, and I should have been able to do that. So I'm not sure what we're doing. All right. If you're watching my feed and you're not a subscriber, please push that button. I would really, oh, hey, James, don't worry about it at all. This discussion was about Z-Wave, and I had already done a video on Z-Wave JS, which, by the way, y'all can watch that. I did it. It worked fine. No problems. So watch that one if you really want to do the real thing. And I had planned to talk about the MQTT part of it. I should have researched it more before I came on live. But like we're saying in the chat, this is how we grow. This is how we learn. It's entertainment for the most part anyway as well. So, and Z-Wave JS is supposed to be super fast, by the way, about its saying here. It is really supposed to be super fast. So y'all have a great rest of your weekend. For those of you watching the Super Bowl this weekend, hope your team wins, and be safe out there and take care of each other and all that jazz. And we'll see you on the next stream or video or Discord or whatever. Cheers.